My friends, I think we've made a revelation as to what this weird hammer may be. We'll tell you about that. And I'll tell you about the progress I made on this Larrivee Mandolin. It's all good news. So we'll discuss all of that in just a minute. Hello my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. Today is Tuesday, December 6th, and on this date in 1876, Jack McCall was convicted of murdering Wild Bill Hickok, and he was sentenced to hang. Well, our news is better than that. I mentioned first that I think we've identified what this hammer is. Well, in the comments, Thomas Rich mentioned that he thought this was a logger hammer, and that it was for softwood and hardwood, and you would stamp the end of the log with that. When I first heard that, I thought, well, it kind of makes sense. But then I thought, there's no softwoods around here. This is all hardwood area. But then I got to thinking, there used to be a lot of pines grew wild in this part of the country, and we've logged them all out. I mean, the forestry has put them back, and you can see they're planted in rows and things. But so there's a lot of pine forest around us, but there isn't any on the property at this point. So I didn't think that would be it. But then after I thought about it, I got to thinking, yeah, back in that time frame, there probably were a lot of pine trees and a lot of softwoods. So a hammer like this might have been handy to because once you get the tree down, and especially if you've debarked it, it's hard to tell one from the other until you cut it open, at least. So that's very possible what this was a logging hammer. That kind of deflates me a little bit because I was sure hoping it had the initials of the people that lived here. But really, almost the moment I said that, I got to thinking, well, that's pretty extravagant for these people, because these people were, I'm pretty sure, dirt poor, living back where they live. There was nothing back there. Anyway, my point is that I wouldn't think they would have spent the money to get something this extravagant. You know what I'm saying? So more than likely this was for logging. And what actually backs that up even more is that I found the 8th broken axe. So they were obviously into wood chopping. So yeah, I think that probably makes more sense, that stands for hardwood and softwood. Now I Googled that and looked it up. I didn't find any hammers that said hardwood and softwood. I found a lot of them that did have letters on the ends. They were like S and O, I think. But I didn't see one with S and H. But because it was so similar, I figured that's probably the right answer. So hope you learned something too, because I sure did. I had no clue what that was for. But finding 8 axes, this is the 8th broken one. And that's another thing. I've used axes my whole life, and I ain't never broke one of them. What the heck were they doing with these axes to break them in half like that? Or was it just that they were made so poorly? And then that one that was mashed in the middle, people were saying, oh, they mashed it to make the wood tighter. Nah, they wouldn't have done that. That is not the reason to mash an axe in. You would drive a wooden wedge in there to make it tighter, or you'd do something like that. You would not mash the steel in, because for one thing, that would pretty much ruin the axe. You can't get another handle in there to replace it, because you do replace handles on axes pretty often. I get to thinking maybe it was to bang like that, and maybe that's why so many of these are broken too. But maybe they were hitting this, something like that, driving it into. That's a possibility. That's the best I got for that right now anyway, as to why that would have been dented in. Anyway, moving on. This Laravee, look at that now. I mean, we are talking quality repair right there. That, I have to tell you, that's about as good as it gets done. Now, there's some wood missing in here, and fortunately I found all the pieces of wood that will fill this in the case, so we're going to be able to fill that in and barely be able to tell it, I think. But right now, today, I have to deepen the trench here so I can get the truss rod back in it. I'm going to probably work on the truss rod because, again, it's one of my non-favorite type truss rods. It's just perfectly straight. You can fool this old country boy about a lot of things, but you ain't going to straighten a bowed piece of wood with a straight rod if the wood's already bowed. In other words, if this, let's just exaggerate it for a second. Let's say it's bowed like that, like a banana. You put this rod in there and you pull it tight, what's it going to do? It's just going to pull the ends of the banana together. It's not going to straighten the thing out. And people were saying, oh, the stress of that straightening will pull it up. It won't. I don't care what you say. It ain't going to happen. That's why so many of these truss rods I've noticed were so ineffective. They just don't do anything. Lots of them don't do anything. So I'm going to put a bow in this sucker and put it back in here properly, and I'll put it's a lot more work. That's why they don't do it. You can say all the things you want to say about it. You can give me your forum chatter if you want, but I'm telling you right now, this straight rod ain't going to do it. It ain't going to fix nothing. And if you have a underbow in your neck, you need an underbowed rod already, and then when you pull it straight, it will lift that underbow up. That will work. This will not. You might just say, oh, you're just hard-headed. Like I said, if I know anything, it's about mechanics and how things work mechanically. And, you know, I'm not saying it wouldn't have some minor effect, but if you got a significant problem, a straight rod ain't gonna fix it. I'm going to work on this today. When you see it tomorrow, I imagine it's going to be nearly finished. Hey, I do have one extra little favor to ask. Why don't you put in the comments, what kind of a short video would you like to see me make? In other words, maybe a 10 or 15 minute long video on what subject? Would it be something here in the shop? It could be something on the farm. It could be something about the animals. It could be something about anything here that I have control over. The reason I'm asking is that when we do our Christmas show, we're planning to make it about a 2-hour show, roughly. It would be nice to have a little short video that we could throw in the middle of it, you know, to kind of give us a break. Anyway, that's the whole point of it. So if you can think of a subject, or, you know, it can be instrument related or it can be something totally different. Just put your ideas in the comments. That'll help me out a lot. By the way, we're at Dickey's this evening from 6 to 8:30, so come by if you can in Rolla, Missouri, Dickey's Barbecue Pit. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.